Join me in my kitchen as I prep 16 dinners for the freezer for my family of 6. First, we are heading off to the store to stock up on ingredients. And then I'll be turning everything into nourishing, cozy, real food meals that are freezer friendly and perfect for fall. I've chosen some of my favorite tried and true recipes, comforting meals to add to your fall menu, with options for both vegetarians and meat lovers. While I'm busy cooking in the kitchen, my kids are on fall break and very much enjoying their days at home. My house is quite literally falling apart today.
I can almost jump.
Oh, this is a fun day at home. A fun day at home also means a very messy day at home, but we were all kids once and we know how it is, right? This cooking marathon actually started the night before, just prepping ingredients, which honestly felt like a full day in itself. What was I thinking? Who's gonna help me?
This is fun.
Thankfully, I had a little help along the way. If you're looking for practical freezer meal ideas that your family will actually be excited to eat, then you're in the right place. It's not always easy, and it's definitely not perfect. We don't need perfection, right? But that's real life in the kitchen, and feeding my family well makes the effort so worth it. So let's get started. To get started on this fall freezer meal prep marathon, I first need to head out to the grocery store and load up on groceries. I have my list in hand and I'm heading to Costco first. Fun thing about this shopping trip is I sold something on Facebook Marketplace, so I have $320 of cash to spend, so it feels like everything is free.
Oh, they're wet.
Things were going really well at the store. I even bumped into someone who recognized me from my YouTube channel. That was so crazy. I just met one of my YouTube subscribers in person and she was so sweet. It's crazy because this thing feels kind of like you're just putting stuff out on the internet. So to meet someone in person is so surreal. Very encouraged by that. I got everything I needed at Costco and now we're heading over to Aldi. There are some items I love to get at Costco and I love to fill in at Aldi, so I get a lot of produce and little odds and ends.
Did you get everything?
No, butternut squash.
All right, we got the last item and now it's time to check out. My husband was filming for me today and I'm still trying to cope with the awkwardness of filming in public.
I have helpers today.
I am very happy to be back home. We got the groceries put away and now I'm just gonna slice into my homemade sourdough bread and have a snack. I'm also gonna cut up some of this bread and just tear it up and leave it on the cutting board for a bit so it can dry out because I'm gonna make breadcrumbs with that later. All right, welcome to my fall freezer meal prep video. Today is mainly just prepping for tomorrow. So I'm gonna chop things, peel things, shred chicken, you know, that sort of stuff. Now for all of the planning of this video, I'm using my ReciMe app. This is really coming in handy right now and I'll tell you why. So I have curated some recipes and saved them to the app. Along with that, I have created a freezer meal prep category for today's video. And then along with that, I've created a master grocery list. So the grocery list is also separated by produce, meat, dairy. It's very organized. And I was able to also double the recipes. So it gave me the amounts that I needed to purchase for the recipes that have been doubled. So this is really a game-changing app for me for freezer meal prep planning. Even with that grocery list, you can manually make adjustments. So if you already have something, you can remove it, or if you need something, you can add it. I needed milk, so I added that to my grocery list. Here is my blog. I've been working hard on this. You can see how easy it is to save recipes. So I'm going to click on the lentil stew that I plan on making in this video. You can click share and share it with the app, and it will import it, transcribe the recipe, and then you can save it to the app. And then you have the ability to organize it into categories based on how you want to organize your recipes. It's also really handy for weekly meal planning. They have a meal planning function. So I've added bow tie chicken Alfredo to this Monday evening, and then you can click add on a date and just select any of the recipes that you've saved. So maybe you want a vegetarian meal for that night, you can go in there and add it. It's just a great way to stay organized. These are some of the recipes I've saved for today's video, so I'm going to keep my phone close by as I work through this. I'm taking out my stasher bag of frozen bread scraps to add to this other bread to make breadcrumbs. I'm going to season this bread with some olive oil, salt, and Italian seasoning. And I'm going to bake this at 350 for about 15 minutes until it's dried out and crispy. My fridge is starting out nice and full. I'm going to take out a lot of the chicken right now and cook some of that up in the slow cooker. And we'll see how much meat and how much food I'm actually able to cook through in this cooking video. But I'm hopeful that I'll be able to get most of it cleared out. For the chicken, I'm just cutting off any of the bits that we don't like and adding it to the slow cooker. I'm going to put a lot of chicken in here. And then I'm just going to add some chicken broth and water. And in the water, I mixed in some salt and garlic powder just to give it a little bit of flavor. And I'm also going to add in some bay leaves and peppercorns. I'm going to cook this on low for about 4 hours. The bread is looking perfect. I will pulse that later to make breadcrumbs. All right, this is going to be my garlic peeling station. And I thought I might as well get comfortable because I'm gonna be here for a while. I realized I could have saved a ton of time if I had just purchased the bag of already peeled garlic, but instead I got to have this moment with my son, so I'd say it was worth it.
What happens if you eat the skin? Oh yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
watch me. My eyes are not crying at all.
Yeah, garlic does not make your eyes cry, only onions.
Oh, I thought this was onions. Okay, yay. This is fun.
We decided to try using gloves because it kind of hurts your fingers after a little while.
Mom, these gloves are too strong and I broke it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
carrots are straight. I can just
easier. It was fun having the kids involved, and they all had a job that they could easily manage, so it made everyone feel accomplished. Alright, so my family and I just had dinner. I made a really nice dinner. I'm going to share that in a different video next week. But for today I have some things prepped for tomorrow. My sons cut these mushrooms. They're a little wonky, but they'll work fine. I have a bunch of diced carrots here. I have a bowl full of garlic. This was a pain to do. And I'm just looking over my notes and my plan for tomorrow, trying to come up with like a game plan. I have some of my ingredients laid out over here for what I'm gonna start with tomorrow morning, because I'm gonna start with the easy stuff first. I still have a little bit more chopping to do here. I need to also pulse the breadcrumbs, finish those, and shred the chicken. So I'm gonna do all that tonight, clean this kitchen, go to bed, and get started first thing in the morning. My food processor was very full of breadcrumbs, and I thought this would be able to pulse them really easily, but it didn't really work out too well. So I tried taking some out and just leaving the bigger pieces in the food processor, and still it was struggling. This is annoying. Apparently I have to take out my blender instead. I didn't want to get this dirty, but no choice. My blender handled the job beautifully, so at least we got it done. Oh, golly. Ugh. A mess. I'm gonna try doing the garlic now. The garlic was super easy to do. I still can't believe I wasted so much time peeling that garlic when I could have just bought in the bag of peeled garlic. But lesson learned, and this is a new way that I'm preserving garlic. I learned this from a subscriber and I think it's genius. You just mince it and freeze it in little portions, and I'll transfer that to a container later. I'm just scooping out the last of the garlic in the food processor here so I don't waste any of that. All right, time for the celery. I've already washed all of this. Now I'm just gonna chop them in chunks and pulse them.
They sting.
Right? It's horrible. Yeah, I know. It was a short moment of crying. Oh, there's a chunk there. Oh dear. I will deal with that tomorrow. We don't need perfection, right? Last thing I need to do is shred the chicken. I'm just hoping that it works.
Wait, the mix.
Yeah, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna be really frustrated because then it's a whole nother appliance that I have to clean for no reason. Should I start it before I finish filling it up and see how it works? I'm gonna say yes. I love putting my appliances to the test to see what they can do for me. So I would say in this Anka shrimp mixer, it's a little tricky to get the chicken started when you want to shred it. But once it starts to break up, then it has something to grab onto and the chicken starts shredding. So I just kind of used my tongs to kind of press down into the chicken to help it get going there. Maybe I should add some broth. Maybe. Well, shout out to my Anka shrimp mixer. It worked. I'm just gonna keep all the chicken in this pot right here. And tomorrow, as I need it, I will pull from this pot because I don't think I need it for anything else. I just have 2 more things to do. Before I clean my blender, I'm going to grind up some Parmesan cheese so I have some ready for tomorrow when I make meatballs. I buy the big chunks of Parmesan at Costco and then I cut it up into chunks and put it in like a little storage container. So whenever I need to do this, I have little chunks ready to go. Maybe I'll do some. Okay. This part is very loud. Okay. I like to keep my spinach in the freezer. I use it mostly for smoothies, but I hate that container, and so I usually transfer it to a plastic bag. It's just a lot easier to pull from that. So now I have everything prepped and ready for the morning. There's still a ton to do tomorrow, but this is a good start. I laid out some of the ingredients that I'll be using first thing in the morning just to help my mind better process the steps I need to take. So I'm just gonna close up and get to bed. I'm gonna get started with a delicious smoothie, and this is the latest smoothie that I have been obsessed with. So I'm gonna put a frozen banana in the mixer, a large handful of frozen spinach, a quarter of an avocado, 1 pitted date, and then I'm using this chocolate mint cookie protein powder. It's delicious. So I do a big scoop of that, and I'm doing a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of coffee, a scoop of ice, and just a little bit of water, enough to get it blended, but not too much. And this is a delicious chocolate mint protein shake. I love it when it's nice and thick like this. And you can use the code Christine's Notebook to get 10% off Clean Simple Eats protein powder. They make my favorite flavors of protein, and the ingredients are clean. So I definitely recommend them, and I left the details in the description. Now I'm ready to get started. I thought I would start it off with a very fall-esque slow cooker black bean, pumpkin, and turkey chili. I'm gonna get this going in my slow cooker and let it cook throughout the day while I work on everything else. This recipe is from Ambitious Kitchen. I'm going to be doubling this recipe, so I have 2 jalapenos here, and I'm gonna chop that up. I chose to do a combination of ground beef and ground turkey for this chili, and I'm pulling my garlic out of the freezer and transferring it to a container, and I'll add some of that to the slow cooker, along with my jalapenos. I'm also adding 2 diced onions. I have my phone propped up and the ReciMe app open to help me as I'm going through all the recipes today. Since there are a lot of spices in this chili, I'm just gonna add the spices on the screen here. Just keep in mind that I will be doubling this. Now I'm adding 4 tablespoons of maple syrup to sweeten it up, and 2 28-ounce cans of crushed tomatoes, and 2 cans of pumpkin puree.
And
All right, now I'm adding what is equivalent to 2 cans of beans. Yes. So now I'm just gonna let this slow cook over the next couple hours while I get to everything else. I thought this recipe sounded fun. This is from Pinch of Yum. And I like that it uses a lot of healthy ingredients and that you can just throw it in the Instant Pot and have a quick dinner. So I'm gonna throw all of the ingredients in 2 plastic bags. I divided 1 whole head of cauliflower between the 2 bags. All right, so I have some butternut squash from my garden that I already chopped up. I'm not sure if this is enough, but I'm gonna first see, and then if I need to cut more, I have this one that I can do. So I need 2 cups per bag.
that's still tasting flavor.
Yay, I have enough. One less thing to do. Into each bag, add half of an onion diced, 3 cloves of minced garlic into each bag, 2 tablespoons of red curry paste into each bag, add a can of diced tomatoes into each bag, and a can of coconut milk into each bag. Add 1½ teaspoons of salt per bag, and then a teaspoon of turmeric per bag. Now add a ½ cup of red lentils per bag, and that's it. You can cook it from frozen in the Instant Pot on high pressure for 6 minutes. Add 1 cup of liquid to the Instant Pot before you cook it, and I'm adding 1 cup of chicken broth to one of the bags as an experiment to see how it does if I freeze it with the liquid in there. So this is gonna go to the freezer. This is another meatless meal that I really enjoy in the fall. It's very hearty and full of flavor. And I'm gonna put all the ingredients in a gallon bag and freeze it. And then I'll just put it in the slow cooker on low and let it all slowly cook. This meal is especially delicious with some homemade bread, and the recipe is on my blog, but I'm going to tell you what to put into each bag. So you want to do 1 whole sweet potato diced, and then a whole onion diced, and then 3 to 4 ribs of celery diced, and then 3 to 4 whole carrots diced. Then you're going to add 16 ounces of chopped mushrooms to the bag and a 14-ounce package of lentils rinsed. Then you'll add a can of diced tomatoes and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste per bag. And for the seasonings, I did 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, a half teaspoon of pepper, and a teaspoon of salt. I'm adding just a little bit of chicken broth here, about 2 cups per bag. But when you cook it, you're gonna wanna add 2 to 3 more cups of liquid. I also forgot to add the garlic, so I added 3 minced garlic cloves per bag. This is your base for a delicious fall meal, and when you do cook it in the slow cooker, it makes the whole house smell amazing, and I highly recommend you make some homemade bread with it. This is a super easy Mexican Instant Pot chicken soup from the blog Against All Grain. Yeah. Excuse me, dear.
I love lime.
Yeah?
Can you put lime on the carrot?
Who wants a lime?
I do! What's that stuff?
Salsa Verde.
Is it like pickle sauce? Took like a lot of licks of this and
let's do 2 in here. Probably should do more.
water.
Just so that they're even, and I can add more chicken broth later. You can cook this from frozen. I would just let it thaw enough so that you can remove it from the container and dump it into the Instant Pot and cook it on high pressure for 35 minutes. Then remove the chicken and shred it and scoop all but a half cup of the veggies into a blender and puree that, and then mix that back into the soup. This is a delicious recipe. We love this one. Got some fun lighting going on right now. It is 10:30. I've gotten 4 of the meals finished. And now I'm going to do these dishes, reset a little bit, take a minute and figure out the next 4 meals that I'm gonna make. I'm gonna have to start actually cooking soon and turning on my oven and my stove. So I just wanna think ahead on the best way to do it so that I'm very efficient, because when you're making a lot of meals at once, you can quickly get ahead of yourself and then end up kind of exhausted and in the middle of a mess, but you can't really just stop. And so I like to try to think through everything before I start. First, let's do these dishes. This next meal I plan to make is another dump bag meal, which basically means you put all the ingredients in a bag and you don't have to cook anything yet, and you can cook it later either in the slow cooker or the Instant Pot. Or you could thaw it and cook it in the oven, or in this case, I like to use the air fryer. I'm making honey chipotle chicken. I like having this on hand. It's basically just a marinated meat, and I like to cook it in the air fryer. It gets nice and crispy. You can add it to tacos or to a salad. This recipe is from Pinch of Yum. I'm basically quadrupling the recipe here because hers only serves 3 to 4 people, and I have a family of 6. So we're starting off with 4 oranges. I'm gonna get the zest of 2 oranges, and then I'm gonna get the juice of 4 oranges. I'm always tempted to add more oranges to this recipe because I think it would actually be really good with extra orange flavor. So now I'm gonna make up some taco seasoning. I need 8 tablespoons of taco seasoning. So I'm gonna make it up. About 1 tablespoon, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, it's so pretty. Yeah, the color.
A little more cumin to that. Okay, shake it up. Into the food processor, I put 4 chipotle peppers in adobo sauce, the zest of the 2 oranges, all of that taco seasoning, 2 teaspoons of salt, 4 cloves of minced garlic. My kids were being silly and hiding behind the counter there, so don't worry about them. Now add a 1/4 cup of avocado oil, a 1/4 cup of honey, and then the juice from those 4 oranges. All right, see how this turned out. Smells good. I felt like there probably needed to be a little more orange, but I was glad that it wasn't too spicy. Okay. All right, I'm gonna try and separate the chicken out into 3 containers and put the marinade in each container. I have about 5 to 6 pounds of chicken breasts here. My goal is just to cut them nice and thin so that they thaw and cook quickly. So I'm just gonna put a few pieces of chicken in each bag and pour in some of the marinade. I'm trying to think how much we would need each night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't decide if I should just do 2 bags. Yeah, I'm gonna do 2 bags.
Why did I just make that noise?
See if I can do this without getting the sauce all over everything. This is gonna be hard. Thankfully, I had some willing helpers today. Does that look like about half?
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna see if I can get it all mixed together. There's no good way to do it. This is not the most aesthetically pleasing.
Did you take the ring off?
No, I did not. Okay. I probably could have separated that into 3 because it's like a lot of marinade, but we're done. So, I'm gonna seal these up, put them in the freezer. Okay, over there? Okay, I'm using stasher bags, which are reusable. They're not, you know, super fun to clean, but I'm trying to use less plastic where I can. My house is quite literally falling apart today as I cook in the kitchen. My kids are taking apart the house, playing different games, and that's okay. I do want them to play. But I'm getting pretty tired. This always happens to me in the middle of a freezer meal prep day where I kind of hit a wall. So I had a lunch break, I laid down for a little bit, I'm gonna have a coffee and then see how much I can get done for the rest of this day. I'm always so ambitious during the planning stage of freezer meal prep days, and then when I get to the doing stage, I'm like, what was I thinking? But I don't like to quit, so I'm gonna see this through. That's a really good paper airplane, you know.
I made a ball by myself.
It's very good, it's very fast.
I made it by myself.
I'm really impressed. Who's gonna help me?
Not I am.
You wanna help me? I don't know yet. Something.
All right, it's time to get back to work. Heading back out to my fridge and pulling out 4 pounds of ground beef for this next recipe.
All right, now I'm gonna make some meatballs. This is my favorite meatball recipe. It's so delicious. I have it in a cookbook and I just looked online and I did find that there is the recipe online. This is from Chowder de la Rentes and it's amazing. So, pretty self-explanatory. We're just gonna put all this meat in this bowl.
To this bowl, I'm adding 4 tablespoons of ketchup. Now I'm adding 6 cloves of minced garlic.
So you are supposed to grate your onion on a box grater to get it really fine and to get the juices as well. But that kind of is what I got when I used the food processor. There's a lot of onion juice at the bottom here. So I'm gonna try and get those small bits along with the juice and use that. And that just adds a lot of flavor to the meatballs.
So I'm adding 2 whole onions grated.
I'm hoping that this garlic will kind of thaw as I'm putting this together right now, so it's not in one chunk. 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese, that is a lot. So 2/3 cups of Parmesan cheese, but I'm doubling it, so I'm gonna do that twice. Where's my salt? 1, 2, 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, be about a 1/2 teaspoon.
Now I'm adding 2/3 cups of Italian seasoned breadcrumbs that I made the day before. Now it's time to shape my meatballs. I'm gonna have to do this in several batches because there's a lot of meat here. I'm shaping my meatballs about 1.5 inches thick, and now I'm cutting up some smoked mozzarella into little cubes. This is what makes these meatballs so delicious, better than any meatball I've ever had. And I'm just gonna stuff that little cube of cheese into the inside of the meatball, and then we'll get that in the oven at 400 for about 15 minutes. This is a time-consuming process, but it is worth it in my opinion. This is one of those meals that are a real treat to us, so because I'm making so many of these and putting them in the freezer, I'm really excited to enjoy those later. Moving on to a new favorite of mine, I'm pulling out the shredded chicken that I made yesterday. And we're gonna make some Salsa Verde chicken enchiladas. You start by dicing up 2 bell peppers and a whole onion. I'm sauteing those in a bit of avocado oil and adding 6 minced garlic cloves, a teaspoon of cumin, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Mix that up, and then I'm gonna add 1/3 cup of cream cheese and just kind of stir that up and get that to begin melting. Make sure your heat is not too high here. My first batch of meatballs are finished, so I'm just taking those out and letting those cool a minute. I'm preparing my pan for the next batch of meatballs and adding shredded chicken to the enchilada dish. I'm adding a cup of salsa verde to my chicken. I added probably too much chicken to this. I normally have less, but because I had so much shredded chicken, I was trying to use it up. So if it starts to look dry, you can add some chicken broth or more salsa verde. I'm also adding 1.5 cups of shredded cheese. This is a queso blend of melting cheeses. I'm gonna turn the heat off and just let that all melt. Now moving on to the second batch of meatballs. The dishes were beginning to pile up again, and I was starting to feel quite disheveled and disorganized as I got to the end of this, but we were almost finished with this cooking marathon.
All right, I'm gonna finish these enchiladas now. Okay, so we wanna make our sauce real quick. So into a bowl, you're gonna do about 1 cup of salsa verde and 1 cup of sour cream. Put those together. Okay, so this is such a good sauce. This is a new recipe for me. I just made it in my last video and I loved it so much that I wanted to try it out for the freezer. So that's what we're doing today. All right, so we've got our creamy salsa verde sauce, and now we just simply need to fill these tortillas and get them in here. Kind of running out of space here. It's getting quite messy in this kitchen. And I need a better system. Let's put my meat here. There we go. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, let's begin. So this recipe is gonna be on my blog, and because I'm batch cooking today, I'm not following recipes exactly. I'm kind of winging it with what I have and also just kind of how much time I have. So these are not exactly following the recipe. Ideally, this chicken would be a little bit more creamy. It would have a little more sauce to it, but this is gonna work for now. These freezer recipes are for nights when I've had a busy day and I don't wanna think about dinner, because even though I love to cook, there are plenty of nights when I just need a night off from cooking.
I have a busy day.
You have a busy day.
Building my fort.
Ooh, can I see your fort? Tell me when it's ready and I'll come check it out. Okay? I almost feel like I could put some of this sauce into this meat because it's so good, and I think I have more than I need. So I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I think that's gonna taste better.
I'll get the fluffy, the other bird one in the car.
Okay.
I'm glad Dad used his car.
Yeah, because then your blanket is still here. Okay, and so then on top, you're gonna put the sauce and some cheese. All right, I'm gonna come see your fort now. Let me see, Noah. He says it's not done yet, but we're gonna check it out. Wow, look at this beautiful living room. This is just such beautiful decorating. Oh.
Bring it down. I can almost jump.
Oh yeah, you got so much room, so spacious. This is a fun day at home. A fun day at home also means a very messy day at home, but we were all kids once and we know how it is, right? These are the meatballs. They look so good.
Originally, I had planned to make a chicken pot pie filling with some of this shredded chicken, but I decided that I was just gonna save that for another day, and I'm gonna take this shredded chicken and just stick it in the freezer so I can have it ready to go when I need shredded chicken for any recipes.
There's always so much cleaning to do. I just gotta get some of these big items out of the way. So I'm gonna fill up my dishwasher as much as I can. This is the last thing I'm making today.
Well, I didn't get my fridge completely cleared out, but I think we did pretty good. I'm all out of chicken broth, so I pulled some from the freezer and I'm gonna melt it on a saucepan for this next recipe. I have 4 pounds of stew meat here, and I'm just gonna dry it out and season it well on both sides with 1.5 teaspoons of salt and 1.5 teaspoons of pepper. The last time we made this meal, my family all agreed it was one of the best things I've made in a while, so I'm excited to share it with you guys. It's a really comforting meal, and this recipe is specifically for the freezer. So there are some steps you have to take after the freezer to finish this off. So first, I'm searing the meat in batches in my Instant Pot in a little bit of butter and olive oil. Now I'm gonna cut a large onion into slices, and once I remove the meat from the Instant Pot, I'll saute that in the Instant Pot with a tablespoon of butter. Something I've noticed about this Instant Pot is the saute function does run pretty hot. They have a high and low setting, so you can play around with that. Sometimes I just turn it off and then back on if it's getting too hot. I'm adding some extra onion to this because I had a little bit left over. And once that's nice and golden, you can add in your garlic. I'm doing about 6 cloves of minced garlic. Now I'm coating it with 2 tablespoons of flour. You could use more flour here, maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons if you want it thicker, but you might have some issues as it's cooking in the Instant Pot. So I like to start with just 2 tablespoons and then I can thicken it up later. So now add 4 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. And when you mix that, it's gonna turn into this kind of thick, gluey substance, and that's okay. And now add 2 cups of chicken broth, which is half the amount that you need, and get that all mixed up until the clumps are gone. And then you can add in your meat and the rest of the chicken broth. I ended up adding a little extra water because I didn't have the full 4 cups of chicken broth, and I did regret that. I do think that in the Instant Pot, using a little bit less liquid always generally works better. I'm gonna cook this on high for 40 minutes to get that meat nice and tender. For the mushrooms, I'm gonna cover them in a glass bowl and microwave them for about 2 minutes. This is gonna help get that moisture out of the mushrooms before I brown them. As the meat is cooking, I'm just taking my chili and mixing it, letting it cool down completely. I'm gonna start working on putting things away. For the enchiladas, I'm doing a small piece of plastic wrap over the top to prevent freezer burn, and then I'm gonna do 2 layers of heavy-duty foil. For reheating from frozen, I would suggest thawing it for a good long while in the fridge, maybe overnight or well before dinner, and then bake it in the oven at 350 or 375 for 30 to 40 minutes. Just keep an eye on it. It's hard for me to give you an exact number, so I might even keep the foil on it for the first 15 minutes and then take the foil off. So use your best judgment here, but I'll report back. This is my first time making these enchiladas for the freezer, so I'm curious as well the best way to bake these from frozen. So for the meatballs, I'm gonna put them in another pan here. I have some leftover smoked mozzarella that I'm just throwing in that pan as well. I'm sure that will all go well together. And that should be easy. We can even take some out and just microwave some, but I think I'll end up heating those up in the oven on a night when I make pasta. So now onto the mushrooms. I'm adding 3 tablespoons of butter to a skillet. I'm removing some of the liquid from the mushrooms. This really helps as you're cooking the mushrooms that you don't have to use as much oil or butter because the mushrooms are not going to just absorb it straight up. Instead, it immediately starts to develop flavor and browning. I added 6 minced garlic cloves and a half teaspoon of pepper and a half teaspoon of salt. Gonna let that cool for a minute and then we'll pack everything up. I decided to remove some of this broth because it just seemed like too much for the pan and more than I needed. And I'm gonna add these browned mushrooms in here and then I'll cover it up. And later when I serve it, I will thaw it overnight in the fridge. And then I will heat it in a skillet and add some sour cream. And if I need it to thicken up more, I'll add some arrowroot starch mixed with some water. I'll make a slurry and add that as it's heating up. And then it'll be a thick, creamy sauce and I'll serve it over pasta. We've had this before and it was amazing. It's one of the best meals ever. So I know it's good, but yeah, it doesn't look like much when you get it in the freezer, but I promise you, if you bear with me and you get to preparing it later on, it's worth it. This will definitely last us more than one dinner. So I don't want to put it into 2 containers and use up too much space in my freezer. So I'll just put it in 1 container and eat it over the course of 2 nights. I'm gonna let this cool. Let's see everything that I have done. I'm gonna bring it all over here and we will celebrate together. This has almost cooled down. Wow, that's a lot of meal prep. Oh my gosh, I forgot one of the meals. All right, here is everything I've prepared today. This has been a journey. I think we have a lot of good food to feed my family for the next month. I'm gonna pull from this every now and then when I need a night off from cooking. This should last 3 to 6 months in the freezer if I don't end up using it right away. But I hope this gives you lots of ideas and recipes that you can try out for your family. I love freezer meal prep days because it really sets us up for success in the future on nights when I don't want to cook and I don't want to deal with dishes like this. I'm gonna have to address that in a minute. All right, you guys, well, there you have it. I hope you got some ideas for freezer meal prep this fall. I feel like we used a lot of fall produce and different veggies and different recipes. I left all the recipes in the description for you so you can try these out for yourself. And if you do, let me know how you like it. And so I'm gonna go ahead and start packing things up and putting it in the freezer. I don't have a standalone freezer, but I have a garage fridge and freezer combo, and so that's what I use for most of these freezer meals. And then anything I want to use during the week, I put in the inside fridge so that nothing gets crowded in there. But I think we did a good job. I packed this freezer, so we should be set for a bit here. And I want to thank you for watching this whole video. If you guys like this sort of content, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next week.